Hello everybody and welcome to the D.G.S.R Sim Racing Assetto Corsa Competizione League race here at the Nürburgring. This is the second race in the race weekend, and let's have a look at the grid. In P1 then we have Zik followed by Barros in P2. P3 we have Morris followed by Long in P4. P5 we have McElligott followed by Joswick in P6. In P7 we have Hale followed by Raiola in P8. In P9 we have Norton followed by Speaking Leash in P10. In P11 we have Pishon followed by Wally in P12. In P13 we have Ridge followed by Muir in P14. In P15 we have Durand followed by Toblerone in P16. In P17 we have Engel followed by Hillier in P18. P19 we have Askham followed by Diao in P20. And in the last row we have Stevens in P21 followed by Valesen in P22. You join me then as we head into the last turn of the track, the Coca-Cola curve. Zik and Barros leading the group. And we go through the curve as we head into the straight. We come up to the line. Green flag, 5 lights, and we are away in this night race. Joswick off to a very good start, getting in between Long and McElligott. Zik off to a good start, gaining a bit of time ahead of Barros and Morris. Little bit of a touch there between Hale and Norton, I think. But other than that, mostly clean as we head through the first couple of corners. Zik then looking to replicate his first race, trying to extend his lead in front of Barros and Morris. Those two will be looking for a better start as they had a bit of a coming together in the last race. Yeah, Zik, Barros, Morris in P1 to 3. Looks like Joswick has managed to make himself up to P4. McElligott in P5. Long in P6. Followed by Hale in P7. Raiola is still in P8 with Norton behind him in P9. Speaking Leash in P10. Pishon in P11. And Wally in P12. Most of the grid then looking pretty much similar to how they were. Oh, as Wally is hit wide there by Ridge. And that gives a number of cars. Muir, Stevens. Stevens is already making huge strides. Starting on the last row, he's managed to get past Muir, Hillier there. Hillier having to come together. Oh, we've got a car off the side there. Who's that? Speaking Leash, I think. As Hillier comes back on track there. And then I think he hits, is that, I think that might be, let's have a look. So I think it's Larone. So Hillier comes back on. Oh, no, it's even further than Larone. It's Valesen, unfortunately, coming together with Hillier there. Not much he could do without that. That's unfortunate for the both of them. Yeah, he sounds like he's having a little bit of trouble there. Let's jump back to the top. So Barros is managing to stay with Zik this time, within a second of him. So pushing him as they go through the Coca-Cola curve once more in to finish this first lap here at Nürburgring. Behind him then, Barros, a good chunk of time between him and Morris. Morris has got Joswick, who's now a second behind now as well. McElligott behind Joswick. Having a quick look, see if he can get him around the outside, maybe through the next couple of corners. Doesn't quite look close enough. Yeah, not quite close enough to take him on the inside there as we head into the Mercedes arena. That looks like McElligott might be close enough to make a move in the next 2 laps. Thinks about going on the inside. Thinks better of it as we go now through the Ford curve. And then down to Dunlop. Doesn't look like he's lost a bit of time through Ford curve there. So, oh, as he doesn't quite brake hard enough and is sent wide, that's going to give Long the opportunity to go sailing past. And he does take that opportunity. So now McElligott back in P6, and he's got Hale for company. Hale looks like he might go for under braking to the RTL curve, not quite close enough. Loses a bit of time to McKellar through that corner there, so interesting things happening at the top of the grid. Behind him then, we have Viola. Swap our cameras for it. He's being closely followed by Pichon there. As McKellar goes wide. Does that give Hale the opportunity to sail past? I think it does. And McKellar slots behind Hale and in front of Raiola, but Raiola might be getting a better run on the straight. So here we're riding on board with Pichon, who's behind Raiola and McKellar. This is going to be interesting as we head through. As a car on track, I think that's Villessen coming out of the pits, trying to keep out of the way of the front runners. Must have pitted after that crash with Hillier. Looks like Raiola's got the move done on McKellar as we turn to turn 2. Pichon trying to have a look as well up the inside. Not quite close enough. McKellar went very wide there. I wonder if he got picked up some track limit warnings there. Well, it looks like they're just about... Ooh. Pichon takes that corner a little bit tighter than McKellar and Raiola. But he's staying with them. Interesting to see what happens here through Dunlop. Oh, McKellar and Raiola. McKellar just taps Raiola's back end and flips them both out. That's unfortunate. And that gives Norton and Stevens the opportunity to come through. And I think also Toblerone, Mew. Yeah, a lot of cars coming through here. Stevens having a cracking race. Started on the last row of the grid, and he's up into P10, and so he's up into the top 10. So he's having a great race so far. Keeping Norton company at the moment. Behind them, then we got Toblerone. Looking to chase those guys up. Behind him, we've got Muir, who dealing with the Porsche of, I think, Villessen. He's become a back marker now. He goes wide through the chicane, giving Muir the opportunity to go through. Not sure Muir gave him enough space there, but anyway, behind Muir then we've got Durand, also coming back on up to this back marker here. Then close behind Durand we've got Speaking Niche and P13. Looking to see if he can get a bit closer to Durand in this first turn. Takes it quite slow through there. Just going to give Durand the opportunity to sail away. A couple of seconds behind him, we've got Wally, who's trying to catch up after having that crash with Ridge at the beginning. And there we go, McKellar and Raiola are back in 17th and 18th now after that crash between them. So I think they were nice enough to wait for each other, but still unfortunate. So let's jump. Anger and Ridge also running quite close together in P19 and P20. Looks like Hilliers has left, I think. I think he's decided to after that crash with Villessen, he's decided not to bother with the race, which is unfortunate. Villessen has come back on track after a pit stop, so he'll be finishing the race, hopefully. Angle there trying to catch up with Ridge. If we go through Dunlop. Not quite had a great exit through out of there. Let's jump then to Joswick in P4, who's catching Morris now, as we head now into the end of lap 4 and lap 5. Not quite close enough to get him, not at all close enough to get him under braking there, but it's an interesting couple of corners. He takes it easy to make sure he doesn't go straight into the back of him. Goes a little bit slower. Oh, as he oversteers into the grass there, it's going to cost him some time. And that's going to give Morris the opportunity to get away from him a little bit. Let's jump back to Norton, who's now been overtaken by Stevens. In fact, let's have a look at when that happened. Happened a little way away. Okay, here we go. So Stevens is behind him, middle of lap 4. Beginning of lap 4, sorry. End of lap 4, sorry, as they go through RTL curve. So Norton runs wide out of RTL curve, which gives Stevens the opportunity to sail past, leaving lots of room for Norton there. But managing to make the moves stick. So that's Norton now up into P8 from P2021, I think. He's done a good job. Speaking leash now. P13. Still trying to catch up with Durand in P12. Managing to keep within a second of him, so they must have similar pace, but hasn't been able to make any inroads into catching him up. So he heads through Coca-Cola Curve to finish his lap 4. Jump again back to Viola and McElligott. McElligott now coming into the back of DL. Let's see if he can make the move stick through turn 1. Decides against it. Oh, as DL goes very wide there, and that's going to give DL and Viola the opportunity to sail past him. Possibly ask him as well, or not quite ask him. So yeah, McElligott and Viola knock up into P16 and P17, so they've made a couple of places. Sorry, I say a couple of places, one place. No, sorry, they're in P15 and 16, so they may have made a couple of places. So the next person on their list of people to catch up is Wally, I think, but they've got the back marker of Vierlessen to deal with first. So field's starting to spread out now, the good few seconds between them. Let's ride on board with Hale, who has he managed to overtake Long, I think? Yeah, he has. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay, so middle of lap 5, through the Michael Schumacher S's, Long is in front, hits the gravel a little bit. Oh, and oversteers. There's that Joswick. Oh no, let's have a look at what's happened to Joswick. He's lost it through, hit the gravel, lost it through the Michael Schumacher S's, and that's spooked Long a little bit. He's also got oversteered a little bit and allowed Hale to get past the both of them. So Hale's now up into P4 respectively, with Long in, I think, P5, and Joswick in... Where is Joswick now? That's Lerone going past him, so he's now in P11. So he's lost a good chunk of time there and a good chunk of positions in that spin-out. That's unfortunate for him. Let's jump back to Ridge then, who's riding very close to Askham and DL. Oh, as Ridge... Askham goes a little bit wide through that RTL curve, and getting a lot of space. I think Ridge has made the move, yeah. So Ridge now up into P18. He's got DL to deal with next. Let's jump up to Muir, who's now riding behind. He's got Durand behind him by 1.5 seconds, and he's about 1.5 seconds behind Joswick, who's now in P10, not P11, sorry. And that means Stevens now up into P7. So let's have a quick rundown of the grid so far. So we have Zik still in P1, who's 1 and a bit seconds ahead of Barros. Not quite the same leader he had in the first race, so Barros is doing a good job to stay with him. 4 seconds behind them, we've got Morris in P3, followed by Hale in P4 now, who's followed within a couple of seconds by Long in P5. He's followed by Pichon in P6, and Stevens up into P7 now. A couple of seconds behind him, we've got Norton in P8. Toblerone in P9. Joswick now down in P10. Muir in P11. Durand in P12. Worley in P13, McElligott in P14, Riola in P15, DL a few seconds behind them. Oh, not DL, sorry. Ridge now in P16 after taking Speaking Leash, who's down in P17. I think Askham is in P19. Sorry, Engel in P18, Askham in P19, DL in P20, and Valessen a lap behind in P21. Sorry, there's a lot of things just changed there. So, Speaking Leash, I think, has a little bit of trouble there. So he was in P16. I think Speaking Leash was further up than that. Oh, here we go. So Speaking Leash is running in P13 here behind Durand in front of Worley. As he heads, where are we? So he goes through the Warsteiner curve, I think. Yep, Warsteiner curve. And go through the chicane. Doesn't quite turn in time and has to oversteer to stay on the grid, and he spins out, unfortunately. So he loses a few places there. And then I think Ridge is in P19. So that's Speaking Leash there, coming on in front of Ridge. So Speaking Leash is in P17, I think. I think DL in P16. But Ridge is going to be up close and personal with Speaking Leash as he heads through turn 1. Chooses the outside line. Maybe to get a better exit. Oh, Speaking Leash goes wide again, giving Ridge the opportunity to sail past. And then we've got Engel and Askham behind them. So Engel must have made the move on Askham down the straight or something. Interesting battle happening at the back of the grid then. It is a bit of time for you, the Mercedes Arena. So Ridge now in P17, I think, looking to make the move around DL. DL goes massively wide through the forward curve, and that gives Ridge the opportunity to sail past. And he was going to be looking at catching up Riola next. I think Speaking Leash, Ridge, Speaking Leash, and Engel all running quite close together. Oh, good battle for the back of the grid there. It's all for points, so it all makes sense. Oh, as Askham looks like he makes a better exit through Schumacher S's, and he's going to get Speaking Leash on the inside. Oh, Speaking Leash coming back on the outside line. It'll be interesting to see they're running side by side, I think. Speaking Leash manages to get in front through the Warsteiner curve. Let's have another look at that from a different angle, because that was... So Askham gets a better line out of Schumacher S's, getting ahead of Speaking Leash. Speaking Leash breaks later, goes a bit wide, but manages to get in front for the Warsteiner curve. They come very close to touching there, but they manage to keep it clean. Engel's going to be looking to see if he can get the job done on the straight or turn 1, probably. We head through the chicane. I think he loses a little bit of time through the chicane, it looks like. Yeah, so he's not quite close enough to Speaking Leash there, I think, to make the move on this turn, unless Speaking Leash makes a mistake. Yeah, good little battle there for P18. Alright, let's have a look. Where are we? Let's jump up to Durand, who is riding close behind Muir for P11. So we're now in lap 7 of this half-an-hour race. Durand losing Muir a little bit there. He goes a touch wide but he might have a better exit through out of Dunlop. Pretty good line through Schumacher S's. Means a bit of time there in the Warsteiner curve, but it's not quite enough. Yes, the grid is very spread out now. All within, spread out between a second, 2 seconds between everyone. Ooh! This is the, yeah. This is a weird part of the race, so there's a bit of netcode problem. At least for me it was. So nothing's changed, don't worry. So Wally now has got McElligott for company. As McElligott and Raiola are making their way back up through the grid. McElligott doing a little bit of a switchback as Wally gets a bit wide. But McElligott going very wide through turn 2, which is going to give Wally the opportunity to get him in front through turn 3, which he does do. So McElligott's going to be running close behind Wally in the next few turns. Looks up the inside through this corner, but decides against it. Forward curve. Wally takes a much tighter line, meaning that McElligott can't overtake on the wider line. Might look to get him under braking through Dunlop. Brakes a little harder. Depends on his exit. I think they both have got Raiola not close behind as well. Ooh, McElligott brakes a lot later than Wally there, and so closes the gap quite considerably. Ooh, as McElligott runs wide, hits the gravel, so he's going to lose a bit of time there. Raiola going to be able to capitalise on that. Certainly is close behind him. Ooh, as Raiola hits the curb there and is going to lose a bit of time. There you go. Battle for P13. Hotting up. Let's jump up to Stevens then, who's chasing down Pichon for P6. Stevens again having a very good race so far. That's close behind Pichon, maybe thinking about getting me under braking through Dunlop. Doesn't look like he will be close enough. Has to brake pretty hard to make sure he doesn't hit Pichon there. It's a pretty good exit. And carry the speed through the Schumacher S's. Not quite. The Mercedes is getting away from him a little bit. Oh, snap of oversteer there. The RTL curve. No, he takes the Warsteiner curve in third. That's interesting. It's amazing how differently the cars, the gears need to be for certain cars. So we head now through the chicane. Ooh, little touch of the curb there, unsettling the car a little bit, but he's managed to stay with Pichon here as he heads through Coca-Cola curve into the straight. Is he going to be close enough? I think the Porsche is a little slower in the straight line. Although it looks like he's managing. Ooh, Mercedes is getting away from him a little bit. Might be able to get him in the next few corners. Possibly under braking, not quite close enough, not quite in the right position to take him on the inside there. And lose a little bit of time through sector 1 by the looks. But looks like he's a bit faster through sector 2, so interesting to see what happens now. Looks around the outside through Dunlop. That's going to cost him a bit of time, but he might get a better, faster exit. As Pichon goes a little wide there, hits the gravel a bit, and that's going to give Stevens the opportunity to look up the inside. He's still not quite close enough. It's a little bit of unsettling as he head through the curve there. God, the noise that car makes in 6th is awful. As a Porsche. He gets a little bit on Pichon through there, but backs off a little bit. It doesn't look like he's going to make it in this next few turns. Right then, let's have a look at Joswick now. He's in P10, catching up with Larone. Looks like he's got a little bit of the pace on him going down the straight. Is he going to be able to get him under braking? No. Brakes a touch earlier than Larone. Larone. As Larone goes a little deep into turn 3 there. And goes very wide out of turn 4. But that might give him a bit of an advantage, possibly getting a track limits warning there, depending on how much time he gained. Oh, as Larone goes very wide through Dunlop, hits the gravel, and that's going to give Joswick the opportunity to sail past back up to P9. Let's have a look down to the battle for P14. Looks like McElligott has managed to get past both Durand and Worley since the last time we looked at this little group. And now Worley's got Raiola for company, as he's trying to get himself past Durand in his own right. Raiola there doing a little switcheroo through the RTL curve, going side by side with Worley through the Warsteiner curve. It's going to cost him a little bit of time, but I think, yeah, running side by side at the moment, as Raiola just about makes it through in front of Worley, and so now has to catch up with Durand as we head towards the end of lap 11. So yeah, Raiola and McElligott making their way through the pack. Not sure how far. McElligott's got past Muir now as well. Let's have a quick look at that, as we've only just. I think that's only just happened. Yep, so he takes him on the inside through Coca-Cola curve, and he's able to get in front into the straight, and he's back up to P11. Got a couple of seconds till he catches up with Larone. Obviously, Larone making that mistake in the last lap, so interesting to see if he can catch him up to get into the back up into the top 10. If he does, I think he'll be happy with that. Let's have another quick rundown of the grid then. So, P1, not much has changed. Zik in P1 with Barros now 6 seconds behind Zik, so Zik has secured his lead quite considerably. 8 seconds behind Barros, we have Morris, who's running pretty much by himself and has been for a lot of the race. 5 seconds behind Morris, we have Hale, riding in P4. 3 seconds behind her, we've got Long riding in P5. Pichon, who's got Stevens for company again. Looks like Stevens is close to making the move. Let's have a quick look on board with Stevens. They head through the RTL curve. And the Warsteiner curve. Pichon defending there. Ooh, bit of oversteer. Pichon manages to retain his position in P6. Behind Stevens then, Norton, who's 8 seconds behind in P8. Again, sort of riding his own race at the moment. Joswick is a few seconds behind him in P9. Toblerone or Lorone is down in P10. 5 seconds behind Lorone is McKelliget. He's got a long way to go before if he's going to be able to get into the top 10. Close behind McKelliget, then we've got Muir in P12. A couple seconds behind him, we've got Durand, who in P13, he's got Raiola for company at the moment as he heads through the chicane. But fairly close behind Raiola, we've also got Wally in P15. I think a few seconds behind Wally, we've got Engel. 12 seconds behind Wally, we've got Engel. Let's have a quick look at Raiola, actually, because he looks like he's close to making the move around Durand. And he gets up on the inside. He heads through the outside of turn 2. Yeah, Durand's going to be able to snitch that position back. Raiola tries to sort of switch around to get back on the outside through turn 5. Oh, Durand's going to be ahead of him though as he exits that corner. Yeah, Raiola's got some work to do still. Right, 12 seconds behind Wally then is Engel. Again, sort of riding his own race at the moment. Behind him, 6 seconds, Ridge in P17. 18 seconds behind Ridge, who's got Speaking Leash down in P18. 6 seconds behind him, we've got DL in P19. Not sure how many seconds behind him. We've got Askham. Oh, Askham's pitted. So he must have had some damage on a crash, I imagine. And a long way behind him, we've got Valessen. But, I mean, Askham's pitted, so that might be giving the Valessen the position. So he'll be thankful to have not given up. All right, let's have a look then. Who's closest? Let's have a look at this battle for P13 again. Oh, Wally's in front of Raiola, I think. Let's have a quick look at what's happened there. Yeah, so into Durand. Raiola's gone wide into the gravel, as has Durand, actually, and that's given Wally the position of P14. So Raiola's going to be chasing them back again, once more, as he hits the gravel again a little bit through the exit of Schumacher S's. Wally looks at the inside of Durand, but doesn't quite close enough to get in front of him. Oh, as he goes wide out of the Warsteiner curve, which is going to give Raiola the opportunity to catch up towards the end of this lap. Yeah, again, interesting battle for P13 there. Jump forward then to Stevens, still battling with Pichon for that position in P6. I was right, look, Villessen is now in P20 and Askham down in P21. So it's unfortunate for Askham, but Villessen proves that it's worthwhile seeing a race to the end. Stevens come up very close behind Pichon through the forward curve. Definitely looks like he's going to be close enough to get him through Dunlop. He's looking at it up the inside. Oh, not quite. Break about the same time. Pichon a little bit later, perhaps. Both good exits out of Dunlop. I suspect Stevens lifted a little bit more than Pichon there. This has been quite an intense battle over the last few laps. I'm sure the guys are sweating when they were racing like this, racing this close together. Oh no! As Stevens sails into the back of Pichon there. Pichon brakes a little bit more than Stevens expected, I think, but I think they're going to wait for each other. Yeah, there's Pichon goes. Stevens comes back on track, so Stevens going to have to catch Pichon up again. That's unfortunate. That's going to give Norton the opportunity to catch up with him, which he has done. So he's within a few seconds now. It'll be interesting to see if he can get in the mix as well. Jump back then to Viola, who's on the back of Wally now as we head. Oh, as Wally goes wide, Viola's going up the inside through the Coca-Cola curve, and I think Viola has running side by side now down the straight. But I suspect Raiola's got slightly better exit and therefore slightly quicker down the straight. Going side by side as they go through turn one, as Raiola goes a little bit wider than Wally, but that means he's going to be able to get up the inside for turn two. And Wally's having to give me a lot of space as they still looks like they're side by side. They are as they go through turn three, but that's Raiola's just about managed to get ahead there. So Viola now back up into P14 after that mistake a lap or two ago. Very fun racing there. Norton then, now within a second of Stevens. Oh, both of them have taken Pichon. What's happened there? Typical, I move away for it to see one battle and something else happens. Okay, let's ride on the back with Norton. Oh, it's Pichon there. Looks like he goes through Mercedes Arena and trying not to go too wide. He oversteers, tries to correct, and spins himself out. So Stevens, after all that time, has managed to come past as Pichon makes a mistake, and that's Norton and Stevens have got past. So Stevens now up into P6. He's come from P21 to P6. Very good race for him. Norton then also up into P7, which is great for him. Looks like Pichon now is down in P8. Joswick, now seeing a car ahead of him, is going to be interested to see if he can gain that position back by the end of the race. Only a couple more laps now. Let's have another quick rundown of the grid as it stands. So we have Zik coming across the line to start lap 16. I think this is either the last lap or the penultimate one. Behind him then, we've got Barros. He's 10 seconds behind. So Zik's managed to secure his lead a little bit more. Morris then is in P3, followed by Hale in P4. They're followed by Long in P5. Stevens now up into P6, followed quite closely by Norton in P7. Pichon is in P8, followed very closely by Joswick in P9. McCalligan has made the move round Lerone and is now in the top 10 again. So he's come from P18 up to P10. So he's done well to get back up into the top 10 after his crash in the beginning. Lerone is in P11, followed by Muir in P12. He's followed by Durand in P13, who's currently being followed quite closely by Raiola in P14. They're being followed by Wally in P15. Engel, 16 seconds behind in P16. Red still riding in P17. Speaking Leash in P18. DL in P19. Belesson now in P20. And Askham still running in P21. Let's have a look at Joswick and Pichon then. Pichon had that unfortunate bit of oversteer and lost a couple of positions. That's given Joswick something to battle for in the last couple of laps. As Joswick gains some good amount of time through the Schumacher S's. He looks up the outside, looks up the inside, brakes. Pichon closes the door on him. Doesn't quite give him enough space there, and that means Joswick has tapped him out. That gives McElligott the opportunity to come past Joswick. And McElligott Joswick goes wide on the gravel, and McElligott's managed to steal P9 there after a little mistake between Pichon and Joswick. That was very good. I'd like to see that again, I think, from McElligott's point of view. So Joswick goes on the inside. Pichon closes the door. They tap each other, and McElligott's just sailed around the outside of... Did they have a little touch there as well? Classic. Camera doesn't show me. Yeah, so they have a little bit of time. I don't think Joswick realised that McElligott was there and sort of steers into him a little bit there. But McElligott's, really capitalised on that mistake there. I think that was Pichon's fault for not quite giving... Well, that's a difficult one. They weren't quite in the corner, so... And Joswick was in the sort of blind spot of Pichon, so not quite sure. I'm sure the stewards will make a good decision on that one. So McElligott now in P9, up close behind Pichon. Oh, is Pichon just go... Did he just go into the grass there on the straight? What happened there? Yeah, Pichon hits the grass there. It must not have been... What's going on there? Oh, is that the end of the race? Oh, it's the end of the race. Sorry, my mistake. Right, okay, yeah. I was confused for a second there. Right, let's have a look at the results then. In P1, Zik, comfortable lead and a comfortable win. In second place, Barros. Third place, Morris. Fourth place, Hale, followed by Long in P5. Stevens in sixth place, a very good race there. Norton in P7. Pichon in P8. McElligott's managing to get back up into P9 after falling to P18. Joswick in P10, having a little bit of a struggled race there. Muir in P11. Durand in P12. Raiola in P13. Wally in P14. Toblerone in P15. Engel in P16. Ridge in P17. Speaking Leash in P18. DL in P19, Valesin in P20, and Askim in P21. And we also had Hillier, who unfortunately DNF'd. Okay, thank you very much for watching. This has been the fourth race weekend in the league. We've got one more race at Spa. So make sure you check that out, and make sure you check out race 1 if you haven't already. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.